There is so many protein cookie recipes that are garbage, and after reviewing Flexible Dieting Lifestyle's 41 calorie cookie, I didn't think it could get any better or lower calorie. However, Keto Fat Loss said, hold my cookie dough, and dropped a 25 calorie cookie, which I knew I had to review. Since most people have a whey casein blend instead of a casein blend, which this recipe calls for, I am going to try both ways. Let's get into it. This was supposed to be a super simple process, but I made it extremely difficult. So my first batch was way wetter than Keto Fat Loss's was when I looked at his video, and I was still able to get it on the actual tray, but it was super wet and super hard for me, and I had to put oil on my fingers. The whey casein was awful, way too wet. I knew I needed to pull back on the wet ingredients. So what I did was I pulled back the light butter and I put regular butter, and it was only 10 grams instead of 20. So that pulled out 10 grams of moisture. And then I also only put 15 grams of applesauce. Now, if you wanna go see the recipe, I would highly recommend you check out Keto Fat Loss's page. I don't wanna give the recipe out here. He put the time and the effort in to make these cookies, and I know how hard it is to make any anabolic recipe, let alone baked goods. Anyways, I took out 5 grams of applesauce, and they looked perfect when I was putting them together into balls, and they came out perfect. What's interesting is these were the only ones that came out more flat looking, like Keto Fat Loss's look, where these ones look kind of like Famous Amos. I don't know if you had those as a kid, but they do look like Famous Amos. So I highly recommend, if you use whey casein, to pull those ingredients back that I mentioned. Then I was like, you know what? It was in the oven, and I was like, I wanna make the casein look the same. So again, all I did differently was use regular butter instead of light butter, so that made 10 grams less of wet ingredients, and they came out looking exactly like the whey casein. Fingers crossed, I hope the whey casein tastes exactly like the casein. So then, if any of you don't have an only casein protein, you can use any of the whey casein blends you already have, whether that's Gorilla Mind or PE Science. Code E4CM to save yourself some money on either of those. If you look at the bottom of these, there is a nice brownness, but it's not burnt. If I would have left it probably another minute or two, it would have burnt. So just watch out when you're cooking these. I would do 10 minutes on the dot. Now I'm gonna start with what I think is going to be the worst one, which is like, it's weird. There's like little bubbles on the top of this one, and it almost looks like baking soda, but I put as much as I'm supposed to put. So let's see. Just like Alex said, crunchy exterior, soft interior. I think it is missing that little bit of flour that usually does go into cookies. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a huge cookie person, but I'm pretty sure there is some flour in there. For the batch that looks nothing like his, and I thought would be completely messed up, pretty good. I would say 6.5 out of 10. For comparison purposes, I'm gonna go straight to the second casein here. Wow, these look way better. Not only in thickness, but when you open it, the chocolate melts. Wow. It makes such a difference in just using different brands of ingredients. That's why it's important that if you make someone's recipe once and you notice it's too wet or melted more than it should, if it was like one of my protein ice creams, or it came out a little bit different, you can troubleshoot it at that time and be like, next time I'm gonna do this. Because literally I made it back to back, and the quality difference is like 200%. It's absolutely insane how different it was just to go from one recipe to another, and taking out 5 grams of something or taking out 10 grams of something really can completely change how the recipe turns out. This one, a lot better. It has a lot more thickness to it and a little bit more of that bite that I'm looking for, but still I think it's missing some of that flour. I'm gonna give this one like a 7.7 out of 10. Very good, but as far as cookies go, Flexible Dieting Lifestyles tasted better, but his were also a lot more like wet and like almost felt like it was greasy because it was so like wet and flimsy. While these ones are like an actual cookie when you break them open and bite into them, where it's like crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. So although Flexible Dieting Lifestyles tasted better, these ones have more of the actual cookie profile as far as like breakability, as far as look, all that kind of stuff. Now, whey casein, this is the one I'm most excited for just because you guys will be able to use this if these work out, because a lot of you don't have a casein only blend, I'm sure. The whey casein is better than the first casein only, but it's not better than the second casein, in my opinion. But man, for 25 calories, you really can't beat it. And I think if you bumped up the calories, even if there's no more protein, which there's 2 grams in a 25 calorie cookie, which is absolutely insane as it is, even if it went up to 40 calories without increasing any protein, I think there's some room to make even more improvements on this, which I might have to do. Alex, I think you might have inspired me. As far as this one, compared to this one, I would give this like a 7.2, 7.3, but the ease of this is literally, once you know your ingredients and you dial it in, I mean, 5-6 minutes to actually grab the ingredients, put it together and throw it in the oven. Then you wait 10 minutes and it's ready. Well worth it. I highly recommend. Again, he surprised the out of me with the carrot cake. I did not think it was gonna turn out. And with these ones being 25 calories, I did not think it was gonna turn out. They are a little bit smaller and different looking than his. However, still tastes good for 25 calories. I don't think you could beat it. And if you're wondering what that sheet pan is back there, I used it to make my sheet pan pizza yesterday, which I definitely think you should check out here. It's meal preppable, incredibly easy to make, and then you could reheat the slices in the air fryer and they're ready in 10 seconds. Make sure you check out Keto Fat Loss's channel. Highly, highly underrated. Until next time, deuces.